I'm Keith with the Trombone Shop at Schmidt Music, back with another instrument review for you. And today I have another one of the new instrument designs from Butler Trombones, specifically their C6 508 small bore tenor trombone. We've done a number of videos on the Butler Trombones over the years, talking about the different designs, talking about the carbon fiber makeup, all of these different attributes. But since David and his team have introduced the two new small bore tenor models, the C5 and C6, we've been very anxious to get them into the shop to be able to experience them. So I'm really excited to be able to share that with you. So I'm going to take a play on this. I'm going to talk about the experience afterwards. I'll be playing everything today on my trusty S.E. Shires Michael Davis Plus mouthpiece. By now, I think it's safe to say that Butler Trombones and all of their different innovations and designs have really started to become a bit of an institution in their own right in the trombone world. Since they began building carbon fiber outer hand slides over 10 years ago, going into full instrument development, mutes, etc., it's a name that people around the world are becoming aware of. And when we start to see instrument design like they've been doing, it's no wonder. We've talked about their instruments, over the times, whether it was the lemon drop and JJ, small bore tenor trombones, the C10, large bore tenor, the C12 bass trombone, and all of the attributes. And again, one of the really unique things about the Butler design is obviously we have the benefit of the weight of the carbon fiber, but it's everything else that goes into the design, the the performance, the sound qualities, all of this that make them such a unique offering in the trombone world. So the first two models, the Lemon Drop, the 500 board version, and the JJ, the 508 version, really were the first instruments that really put Butler on the map in terms of trombone design and continued to be exceptionally popular. But in talking with David, kind of over the years, they started to get some feedback. And I think in their own research, they found that the designs could use some updating. In particular, a lot of folks felt that they played a little small, a little tight perhaps. Again, some folks really liked it, but they felt like there was an opportunity to maybe open things up a little bit. So they went through the development process and came up with the C5, the 500 version, and the C6, the 508 versions, utilizing a few different ideas, in particular in the bell and tuning slide design, to try to open up, at least change some of the airflow to meet some different players' needs. So the basics of this design is we have an 8-inch carbon fiber bell here, compared to the JJ model, a wider throat up through here, and also a wider top of the stem as well. And that leads into the reverse tuning slide, single radius. The previous design was more of a dual radius design, but with the single radius, they're hoping to open up the airflow a little bit, leading to, again, that little bit larger stem here as well. Obviously, we have our nickel silver braces here, carbon fiber neck pipe. And then we have our standard carbon fiber outer hand slide with chrome-plated nickel silver inners here, their speedy flow, water key here. One thing that they have changed that I did not mention with the C5 review is they've changed the design of the hand slide brace here. Previously, they'd been using the Williams-style curved brace here. But with this, they've changed it. Now they're doing more of a standard square setup, but they are very kindly providing a clip-on Williams-style kind of brace in here, so hand grip. Of course their 3D printed carbon fiber makeup. With that, to give some of that same approach with all of this, and of course they have their carbon fiber lead pipes. For this instrument today, I did some experimenting back and forth. I ended up using the longer of the two lead pipes. Of course, that's going to give a different kind of airflow than the shorter of the two lead pipes here. So, what's the overall experience with this instrument? Like I talked about with the C5, I think it does exactly what the Butler team was hoping to do. It feels more open. It feels more free. What I really like about this horn, compared to the C5, is overall it feels warmer. And in a certain way, it feels like there's a little bit more evenness in the timbre from soft to loud dynamics. One of the things I've talked about with the Butler instruments in the past, and I think I found with the C5, is that there's this really nice moment where you get kind of this almost smoky warmth at lower dynamics. When you move to upper dynamics, the sound focuses, clarifies a little bit, but never gets like super edgy and bright. With this, I think some of that still happens, and I do appreciate that transition in and out of from that that slightly more covered warmth to that little bit brighter, more resonant, focused sound. It's a softer transition, but frankly, with this instrument, I find a little less of that happening, period. I think at softer dynamics, especially kind of when I found that resonant point with it, it still stayed clear. I could feel the instrument still ringing at those dynamics, which, again, did not always happen for me on the other instruments. And that's not a good or bad thing. Again, I talked about how I kind of like how you can play with some of that depending on your approach. But with this, it felt like the timbre was just a little bit more stable throughout. Again, I thought the overall response was great. I love the articulation and the kind of the clarity I feel like I can get it. It's not like super sharp and pointed, but it's very, very consistent, and it's very, very easy. I just feel like when I'm going to get the notes to slot, to lock in place, everything is right there. The upper register, it took me a little bit to kind of figure out the upper register, but when I did, I feel like I have a lot of stability and flexibility up there. I felt comfortable easily moving into the 12th, 13th partial, without really having to think too hard about it or trying to be really careful on how I'm adjusting, how I'm trying to play, in that upper register. Lower register, again, really responsive. I get a little bit of a little bit darker, warmer sound in that lower register, to a certain extent. But overall, again, I think it's a wonderful instrument. And again, kudos to the Butler team for really, taking a look at what the evolving needs were of their community, or at least a potential to fit a different type of player, and being able to put that into action and coming up with a couple of wonderful new designs that I think are really going to grab a lot of folks' attention. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Butler C6. If you've had a chance to play this instrument or its predecessor, the JJ model, or the C5, any of the other Butler instruments, we'd love to have your feedback on that. If you heard anything that you wanted to ask about in the video, leave all of that in the comments section. If you like the video, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please think about subscribing to the channel, hitting that notification button, because we'd love to have you as a part of our community here. And of course, you can always find the Trombone Shop on Facebook and Instagram. As always, thanks for watching.